Okay, next let's go to question 2. So here from Vasil, please forgive me if I mispronounce your names, guys. Could you tell me about some stative verbs used in the continuous form? Understand, like, hope, consider, wish, think, and so on. Could you build up more on this topic? Thank you from the bottom of my heart, of course, and I would love to answer this question. So let's talk about stative verbs. What does that mean? And we'll look at them in the continuous form. This is a very good and kind of higher level grammar question. So stay tuned, guys, for the answer. First, let's look at the two kinds of verbs. We have dynamic verbs and stative verbs. So a dynamic verb describes things that happen within a limited time that have a clear beginning and a clear end. And these are verbs we can use in the simple form, the perfect forms like present perfect, past perfect, and the continuous or progressive forms. So these are all things that, again, clear beginning, clear end, and happen in a limited time. For example, eat, walk, and learn. The other kind, and these are verbs that we're very used to and they follow all the normal rules, but then we have something called stative verbs. So these usually have to do with the state or condition, which is unchanging, usually, a state of being. So often these have to do with our thinking, or things about thinking and our minds, or relationships between things. So these really stative have to do with a state of being. Okay, so we'll write that there. So these include things like believe and think, meaning have an opinion like I think, or disagree. So these are states and verbs of relation. So let's take a look. We cannot use stative verbs in the same way. So right, this question is about the continuous forms. Let's give it a look. So here's an example using a dynamic verb. And remember, dynamic verbs are normal, right? We can use all of these tenses. Simple, right? Simple present, simple past, and simple future. I run, I ran, I will run. Continuous forms. I am running, I was running, I will be running. Perfect forms. Present, past, and future. I have run, I had run, or I will have run. And perfect continuous. I have been running, I had been running, I will have been running. Whew. So all of these we can use with dynamic verbs, again, like eat, walk, and play, for example. But stative verbs are a little different. And remember, these have to do with a state of being, things about our mind, words like think and know and believe. So let's take a look at this stative verb, know. So here we can use simple and perfect tenses, and these sentences are all correct. I know, I knew, I will know. I have known, I had known, I will have known. But we cannot use the continuous tenses with this verb. I am knowing? No. I have been knowing? No. So we cannot use them in quite the same way. So here we have another example. So we've seen dynamic verbs and their correct forms, stative verbs, their correct forms, and that we can't use them with the continuous forms. And now we see a verb that kind of we can use in a few different ways, has a few different meanings. So have. Here we can use the simple form for possession, means it's mine, I own it. I have a car, I had a car, I will have a car. In the continuous form, we can use the continuous form to describe an activity like having a good time. This is kind of a phrasal verb, have a good time. That is always together. It's a phrasal verb. So we can say, I am having a good time. I was having a good time. I will be having a good time. But we cannot use the continuous form for possession, have, right? I have a car. We do not say, I am having a car, right? It's just I have or I don't have. Okay. So let's take a look. This is one of those situations in English where really this comes from practice and really being familiar. Just like in a previous lesson, we talked about past participles like I have known, I have seen, I have walked. Some of those irregular ones, there's no easy way to remember them. It's just practice. So let's take a look at some little tips for which verbs are always stative, which ones are always dynamic, and so on. So here, verbs that are always stative have to do with mental states. Mental means your mind, okay? And emotional states, how you feel. So this includes, let's start with mental states, words like admire, doubt, want, know, and need. So there can be some common errors with these, like remember with stative, we cannot use the continuous forms, which is ing, right? Progressive forms. So I do not say I am knowing or I am needing or I am understanding. These are some common mistakes. We can just use their simple and perfect forms like I know John, we need some help, and I don't understand what you mean. Next, let's look at emotional states, words that we use often like love, like, hate, and care. So again, we don't usually say something like I'm loving or I'm hating. Here we might say something like, remember, we don't use the continuous forms, just simple and perfect. The kids love, she likes, and I hate. Okay, a couple more that are always stative, means no continuous form, have to do with possession, which means you own something, it's yours or mine, right? Senses, like the word here, and then we have some others. So these are the verbs that we see that we do not use in the continuous forms, and it would be grammatically incorrect to do so. So as always, guys, this PowerPoint, this PPT is posted, so you can go and use this as a resource. Here we have some more, oh my gosh, some that depend on the situation. So again, we see that this can be pretty complicated and difficult, but let's look at these 4 verbs that we have examples for. So here they could be stative, which means not continuous forms, or dynamic, which is a normal verb like run that we can use in all of the forms. And it depends on the situation or the meaning. So let's look at think. If I'm saying I think, and I'm about to talk about my opinion, this is a stative verb, which means no continuous forms, right? So if I'm asking for your opinion, like, what do you think? Well, this is stative, asking about your opinion. Or I think you should accept that job offer. That is correct. I could not say I am thinking you should. We would say, this would be grammatically correct, I think you should. Now, the dynamic verb is the act of thinking. What are you thinking about, right? This is the action, not opinion, right? Not a noun, my opinion is, but the act of thinking. What are you thinking about? I'm thinking about what to do next. So here, the active thinking. We also have this with have. The stative verb refers to possession. I have a car. I have a phone. And the dynamic refers to an activity, which we saw in a previous example. I'm having a party. We're having a great time, right? Those are activities. Oh, sorry, guys. My allergies. Ooh, itchy nose. So we also have this. Let's look at two more verbs, taste and the be verb. If we're talking about the state of being or a quality, using taste as a quality, it tastes delicious. This is stative. I would not say it is tasting delicious. It tastes delicious. And if it's an activity, she is tasting the soup, right? So here we can see in these a theme, a quality, a thing, a state of being, a possession, or a relation. These are stative. Activities are dynamic. And last, let's look at the be verb. They are being. So they are refers to a general condition or state, right? It's a state, so it's stative. They are helpful. I wouldn't say they are being helpful no matter what happens. They are helpful. It's a quality, condition, or state. They are being is a temporary, so not forever, temporary state. They are being helpful under the circumstances. They are being helpful for now at this moment. So again, this is all on the PPT, you guys. I really encourage you to look this over, and this is something we may talk about in the future.